assuming he's trying to set her up, the whole process of gathering evidence is merely a farce to get more people to join his crusade. I don't think Carino is too concerned with due process either, so his actions make sense. But I expected Sakuma to be different. Does he even care for evidence? Or is he only trying to confirm what he already believes? It's a convenient rumor to be sure, more so when everybody is overwhelmed by their own insecurities. Gives people a common enemy, lets them cling on to something.
もしそれが本当だとしたら、三浦がそんな異常な演習で。
This is bad. Takemiya and Sakuma are completely on Karino's side. Jinguji is the common enemy now. Her plan was a success far beyond her expectations. And the fact both Miura and Fujisawa were so popular only make things worse. Miura was practically the school's mascot. Everybody liked her. Fujisawa was always willing to lend an ear to anybody who needed to vent. And instructor Jinguji tore down their reputation in a matter of minutes. Of course, people wouldn't take this lightly. What if I point out the contradictions? Could I make them come to their senses?
憶測はともかく、ここの訓練規定がよそと比べて異常なのは確かだ。兄貴たちに他校規定を調べてもらって裏は取れている。俺たちはこれ以上、教官の横暴に付き合う気はない。これは全分隊長の総意だ。
つまり、第16英士訓練隊全員の意思ってことだ。お前たち以外のな。
三浦と藤沢の所属分隊の当事者として、できればお前たちにも賛同してほしい。そして、もし賛同してくれるなら、いすみ。お前も一緒に来てくれ。
いすみ、お前だって悔しいだろ。あのバーバー、てめえで事故に絡んでおいてあの言い草だぞ。あいつ、三浦と藤沢の親に同じセリフが言えるのかってんだよ。
一つ聞いていい？
なんだ、一つと言わず何でも聞いてくれ。
ただ抗議するだけで終わりなんてつもりはないのよね。
さすがいすみだぜ。分かってらっしゃる。
教官が要求を拒んだ場合、実力行使も仕方がないと思っている。
実力行使って佐久間？
Show of force, huh?
気は進まないが、カリノのコネクションをフル動員してもらうつもりだ。
Man, Karino has some connections.
今回の事故は神宮寺の星にとってかなりのダメージになるはずだ。大騒動にして世間の注目を集めりゃマスコミも食いつく。今は事故の調査と現場検証で保安部隊もそっちにかかりきりだからな。立てこもるにしろ武器の調達にしろいろいろやりやすい。しかも当事者の神宮寺は屋内待機。上層部の連中は陣頭指揮で現場に張り付いてる。やるならこのタイミングしかない。
Man. Strike while the iron is hot. Karino's being used. That newspaper connection of his wants to get hold of a real scoop, even if staging the event itself is what it takes. The target is Death herself, the Continental campaign's ace. She's talking about Marimo herself. The Morning Light has opposed the Continental Dispatch since the beginning because of Japan's complicated history with mainland Asia. For an opposition newspaper, this couldn't be any better of a story.
あんたたち本気なの？最悪の場合反逆罪よ。
それは違う。反逆罪があるとすれば教官だ。訓練校を私物化し、人権蹂躙を感化している。
俺らはそれを暴くんだ。これは三浦の弔い合戦だぜ。
でも
なんだよ。
そんなことをしても三浦は喜ばないんじゃないかな。竹宮？私も神宮寺は許せない。だけど藤沢だって そんなこと望んでないと思う。
竹宮。
じゃなかったらあの子たち集権にあんな一生懸命にならなかったんじゃないかな。私爆発の前にデータリンクのログで見たけど、あの子たちオルブライトターンを同時に決めてるんだよ。
An Albright turn, a sea-level combat maneuver where a TSF maintains thrust and switches its vector by 180 degrees. They executed one of the most daring maneuvers we've only ever read about.
私と泉に黙って二人でずっと練習してたんだよ。
Come to think of it, they never let Takemiya join them when they were studying together. Was this the reason?
神宮寺のことはなんか別の方法でなんとかできないのかな。
おい竹宮、お前あいつらはお前らに恩を返し。
いいんだ竹宮。俺たちは無理強いをする気はない。ただこれは三浦や藤沢だけの問題じゃない。俺たちは候補生からあんな目に遭うやつをもう二度と出したくないだけなんだ。それだけは分かってくれ。
気持ちはわかるよ。
そんなことが言いたいんじゃないのは分かっているが、念のためお前が賛成しなかったことは記録しておく。
いや、私は。
いいからそうしとけって。
狩野。
別に俺らは多数決で従わせたいわけじゃねえからな。全員自分で決めたんだ。だからお前の意思も尊重する。
ごめん、狩野。
謝るところかよ、バーガ
ー。ごめん。
お前の言う通り、もし藤沢が俺らの行動に反対だったら。あいつのことだ。俺らとは絶対口も聞かなくなる。だからお前はその時のための保険だ。あいつがここに戻ってきた時のな。
狩野。
泉、お前はどうする？
いろいろ聞かせてもらって安心したわ。
お前もやめとくか？
いえ、行くわ。
Isumi decided to team with them, huh?
さすがIsumi、やっぱただの優等生じゃねえな。
嬉しくないわね。
褒め言葉だぜ。お前、黒幕の素質十分だって前々から思ってたんだ。
お前が賛同してくれるのは心強いよ、Isumi。これで全分隊長が揃った。
待って佐久間、あんたたちは残って。
はあ？何言ってんだよIsumi。お前やっぱ反対なのかよ。
狩野、私が行くって言ってるのよ。
どういうことだ？説明してもらえるか？
向こうだってバカじゃないわ。反感買うことなんて計算済みでしょうね。さっき聞いたでしょ？私たちを排除するためにいるって。ガン首揃えてのこのこ出向けば、危険分子としてその場で一網打尽もあり得るわよ。
あのババアがそこまで俺らを買ってるとは思えねえな。どうせ何もできねえふぬけだって決めつけてやがんだろ。
相手は死神神宮寺よ。仮にあんたが言うように逃げ回って生き延びたんなら、なおさら最悪の事態には備えるでしょうね。
確かにな。
I still think Michiru wants to go to Marimo herself because she still respects Marimo.
それに、もともとあんたは行くべきじゃない。外部との連絡や裏ルートのコントロールを人任せにする気？
まあ、そう言われればそうだけどよ。
だがIsumi、正当性はこちらにある。最初からことを構える姿勢で臨むべきじゃないだろう。全分隊の代表である俺たちが揃ってこそ候補生の総意であることを示せるんじゃないのか。
佐久間、あんた何も学んでないわね。結果が全てだっていう教官のあれ、正論よ。
だが
勝敗は準備で決まるのよ。ファーストストライクはスタートの合図に過ぎない。 それに、これはもともと F 分隊の問題。私一人で行くのが流れ的にも一番自然で、警戒されないはずだわ。
なるほど。
私の要求が拒絶されたら、その時こそ、あんたたちが動けばいい。
やっぱイスミは味方にすると頼りになるぜ。いいんじゃねえのか、それで。
確かにイスミの言う通りだな。可能な限りリスク回避をしておくことは正しい。
三浦たちの分隊長が差しでやるっつんだ。他の連中も納得すんだろ。しかもイスミは神宮寺を一番恨んでる。
私、そんなこと言ったかしら。
無理すんなよ、優等生。あんだけ目の敵にされりゃ恨むのが普通だろ。
別に、普通じゃないわ。
出世狙ってるお前がそれを隠したいって気持ちはわかるぜ。
しかし、その冷静さはさすがだな。こんな時でも動じないお前は、本当にすごいよ。
そんなこと、ないわよ。
正直なところ、俺たちかなり頭に血が上ってたよ。全く面目ない。
念のため、ある程度時間が経ったら様子は見に行かせる。いいな。
Makes sense he'd come up with a way to ensure his plan works. He's got a handle on this way more than Sakuma, but that's to be expected from someone who regularly deals with the underworld.
わかった。じゃあ、早速動くわ。
頼んだぞ。俺たちも準備にかかろう。
おう。
イスミ、あんた、なんで。
わかってる、竹宮。調子合わせて手の内を聞き出しただけ。だから、安心して。
じゃあ。
三浦も藤沢も、絶対あんなこと望んでない。騒ぎにならないように、私が何とかする。
I see.
あんた、一体どうするつもりなの？
大丈夫。私に考えがある。だから、できる限りのバックアップ、頼むわよ。
でも、
打ち合わせしてる時間なんてない。こんな状況で後ろを任せられるのは、もうあんたしかいないんだから。
イスミ。わかった。なんとかやってみる。
頼んだわよ。
What are you gonna say? I'm sorry, Takemiya. I lied to you.
それにしても。
Who would have thought that my reputation as the instructor's number one target would ever come in handy? Life's full of surprises. No guards. So the plot against the instructors was mere empty talk. Karino's connection is just a random idiot who blew things out of proportion, your typical yellow journalist. He might be known for his connections to the underworld, but Karino is not a bad guy, more of a Robin Hood than a sheriff of Nottingham. Since he is always profiting from the rest of the cadets, perhaps his little rebellion is a way to ease his guilty conscience. In any case, this is a chance to use Karino's connections to do the right thing. It's obvious this newspaper reporter is taking advantage of his personal flaws. Anything for a story. This contact doesn't give a damn whether the plan succeeds or fails, as long as there's controversy surrounding Instructor Jinguji. Karino's friend is golden. So my task is to remove any sort of justification for Karino and Sakuma's uprising. Once the two heads of the conspiracy lay down their arms, this farce will end. No one really wants things to escalate that far anyway. Everyone is just going along to blow off some steam. In fact, I don't think Sakuma himself is particularly fond of the idea, even though he might pretend otherwise in front of Karino. But Karino will not let things go further. He's shrewd enough to know there's no profit to be made in antagonizing the upper brass by himself. That much is obvious from the way he acted when the contraband route was taken out. I'm the one at fault. My lack of leadership brought about this situation. However, there's one thing I can do to put an end to this predicament. I can mediate between the instructors and the cadets.
さて、どうしたものか。
The cadets' actions may be morally justified, but that doesn't mean I can sit back and let this mess spiral out of control. Problem is, I can't think of any concrete measures to stop it from happening. If I fail to cut this insurrection short, my attempt to find common ground with Instructor Jinguji will have been a complete waste of time. I'll only end up providing ammo for Karino's puppet masters. Miura's death and Fujisawa's injuries would have been for nothing. I can't let those vultures profit from their plan. I won't let imbeciles like them interfere with my goals. I will never let them defile the place where I belong.
なんでそんなに冷静なのよ。なんで平気なわけ。なんか強いよね。私があんたの立場だったら。
しかしその冷静さはさすがだな。こんな時でも動じないお前は本当にすごいよ。
何がさすがよ。
Nobody understands her. As if they could have any idea what I'm feeling. How can they actually believe I'm not upset? I may not have deserved the position. It may have been a matter of convenience, but those two were my subordinates, and one of them died. Do they really think I'm going to show them exactly how I feel? That I will let everything bubble up to the surface? The others wear their heart on their sleeves, but why does that mean I have to do the same? Even if that's not what they believe, that's how they want things to be. I'm not like them, not at all. Yeah, Isumi is much more like Marimo, in a sense. I'm not candid like them. I can't just say what's on my mind. I'm not like that. We have obligations. We joined the army, for God's sake. This country needs people who are aware of their duties. Sounds like...
ダメだ。やっぱりかなり参ってるみたいだ。
Letting my frustration get the better of me, pathetic. I'm well aware of my image. That's exactly why I'm acting like I do. I made the decision to act as a model cadet. No one forced my hand. So why am I getting angry at them and not at myself? Seems like I really am a horrible person.
でもある意味羨ましいわね。
To be able to see only what's in front of you, that sort of simple-mindedness. I wish I could be like them. My life would have been so much easier. Anger overcomes fear. The accident hit close to home for all of us. Instructor Jinguji fanned the flames of our anger to wake us from our stupor. Those are the facts. She believed we would overcome our predicament by uniting in hatred against the common enemy, herself. What's happening now only proves she was right. The effects, however, were far stronger than she anticipated.
いや、やはり想定内と見ておくべきか。
A simple matter of cause and effect, she provokes us, and we join together to oppose her. She must have considered that riots could happen, the worst-case scenario, so to speak. But I shouldn't make light of how people are influenced by their emotions. I just had some first-hand experience after all. Even I was overcome in a matter of minutes, despite the fact that I actively suppressed my emotional side. Seems the base's security level hasn't been increased. No matter how confidently how confident management appears to be, the lack of security could almost be called a dereliction of duty. The cadets will make the opening move. I'm sure the base won't be able to respond in time to whatever they're planning to do. Assuming that's the case, even if the cadets overthrow security, they will be hard-pressed to deal with their injured. That's probably what the higher-ups are expecting. Much to the delight of the Morning Light's reporters, the damage caused to our academy will make for gripping headlines. And I will lose the place where I belong.
やはりなんとかするしかない。
This is the worst, in the most literal sense of the word. The upper brass likely expects things to calm down once people start getting injured. But what if the riot itself isn't the endgame? If that's the case, there's only one thing they could be after: the expulsion of the person all cadets have resented since day one, Instructor Jinguji Marimo. The most hated person in this base. There must have been plenty of soldiers planning to use the cadet's anger to take revenge on her. Not to mention, it would be the perfect chance to pay her back for disposing of the black market room. This is way bigger than Karino, it has to be. There's a bigger plan behind the scenes, huh?
行幸新聞はそこに無関係だと思いたいが。
Stop. You always have to assume the worst. Right now, I'm all that stands between Instructor Jinguji and the cadets. I need to forge a mutual understanding. To be honest, I want to run away. Miura is gone, and Fujisawa straddles the line between life and death. All I want to do is look the other way, to find a hole I can crawl into. I need something to distract myself. Losing to my own emotions is out of the question. Now that I think about it, this has always been a bad habit of mine. I've been this way since the start. When I'm emotionally overwhelmed, I tend to retreat into my thoughts to try and keep myself under control. To feel better about myself, I always assume the worst and start working on countermeasures. And once I've confirmed that the worst case scenario did not come to pass, I can finally be at ease. I've been running away like this all my life. There's not much time left. 20 more minutes and the other squad leaders will come to check on me. I need to get some concrete results fast. The only way I could force Karino and Sakuma to back down is by getting an apology from Instructor Jinguji. Even a retraction would work, anything less and the riot happens. Basically, I must present them her head on a platter. However, Instructor Jinguji won't do anything that undermines her position. She might have spoken in the heat of the moment and used emotionally charged language, but I don't see her simply taking her words back.
何よ、ここに来てだんまり？たっく、これだから頭のいいやつは。あれこれ考えて前に進まないったら。
And it's still hard to believe that Miura died.
やめてよ。私が聞きたいのはあんた自身の言葉よ、イスミ。
まったく。あんたたちの言う通りだわ。
Instructor Jinguji is not someone I can convince with fancy rhetoric alone. That being the case, it seems we're destined to clash with each other. Should it come down to that, I'll have no choice but to improvise. I'll have to endure just like when she tried to break me. Sadly for her, I have even more to fight for now. Merely restating the group's opinion won't do any good, even if my position is bolstered by the legitimacy that representing all of the squad brings. No, if I want to win, I must do so with my own words. I must speak of my regrets regarding Miura's passing, of my wishes for Fujisawa's recovery, and of my innermost hopes. Can you do it? What was that? Is she punching something?
まさか
It can't be.
そんな。なんでよ。やめてよ。そんな。
What a shock to her.
出ていけ、イスミ！入室を許可した覚えはないぞ！なんであなたが。バカ者！出ていけと言ってるのが聞こえんのか！
Why? Tell me why.
イスミ、貴様。何のつもりかは知らんが、いい加減にしろ！いい加減にするのはあんたの方よ。なんだと？なんなのよ。それ。なんであんたが。三浦が死んで、藤沢が重傷を負って、あれだけのことを言ったあんたが、なんで泣いてるのよ！あんただけは違うと思ってたのに。結局そういうことなの。ふざけるな！あんたが証明してくれるんじゃなかったのか！あんたを手に入れたんじゃないのか！多くの命と引き換えに手に入れたんじゃないのか！だから貴様はここにいるべきではないんだ。何？公正不正が分かったようなことを！何かにすがった戦いしかできない奴が最も危険なんだ！貴様のような奴が多くの友を殺す！貴様のような奴が罪を恐れて友を遠ざけるんだ！貴様のような奴が死に場所を求めて部下を巻き込むんだ！だったらここで死ね！多くの命を奪う前に！
I was blacking out, barely conscious from all her blows. My face must have been beaten beyond recognition. But there was something that shouldn't be there. I'm not talking about the blood that was running down my face. It's tears. Instructor Jinguji was crying, yet she kept hitting me again and again. Her streams of tears trickled down her face. That hit me harder than any of her punches. See, she spewed out curses barely audible amidst her sobbing, yet the hits didn't stop coming. It's almost as if she was talking to someone else. It was only after being commissioned for some time that I understood the true meaning behind her words that sounded almost like a confession. I knew I could block her punches if I tried, but I didn't. I took everything head on. Because if I didn't, Instructor Jinguji would have crumbled on the spot.
だったらここで死ね！多くの命を奪う前に！
It wasn't me she was facing, but rather her own past. Jinguji Marimo spent half her life atoning for the countless people who died on the battlefield, while she alone survived. Looking back, I can't help but think this way. In a sense, maybe Instructor Jinguji saw her former self in me. Maybe that's why she was so hard on me all the time. You are suited for politics, not for the military. Don't repeat my mistakes. You are not that strong. I didn't understand back then, but today I finally realized the meaning behind her words. Instructor Jinguji had fallen, her face on my chest, choking on her own snot and tears. It was the last thing I saw before I lost consciousness. What was real and what was my mind? What was my mind playing tricks on me? To this day, I still don't know. Why did her tears upset me so much? Back then, I had no idea. However, I did not leave empty-handed. Thanks to my actions, I managed to prevent us cadets from being dismissed. It's unbelievable when you think about it. A cool-headed stickler for the rules like myself risked a summary dismissal from the army by attacking an instructor. To make matters worse, my sparring partner was none other than Jinguji Death Marimo. I remember myself fainting, losing consciousness, and bleeding all over the floor. And I remember her straddling me, still crying as she beat my face into a pulp. The scene was bizarre enough to make those who witnessed it shudder in terror. The cadets completely lost their drive for vengeance then and there, and really, who could blame them? For someone like me who prides herself in always acting in the most logical and efficient manner, the result was quite ironic. By disregarding all of the cadets' demands and losing my composure as soon as I encountered the first obstacle, I solved this crisis. Now that I think about it, this whole affair was a huge turning point for me. Something unexpected came to light after the board of inquiry examined the remains of Miura's TSF. Unexpected, huh? The inspectors discovered Miura and Fujisawa had taken certain measures to ensure they could execute such a bold sea-level maneuver. Speaking concretely, they disabled the TSF's limiter and crew safety systems. To conceal their actions, they fed fake information to the observers by deploying a virus on the network overseeing the exercise. That's why Instructor Jinguji didn't catch them cheating beforehand, and why Instructor Nirasawa wasn't able to take control of Miura's TSF. All of this was considered highly confidential information, nothing mere cadets like us would be told about. Karino, however, was somehow able to access the network and extract the information in real time. In the face of the final examination, all Miura and Fujisawa cared about was achieving our goals. How legitimate the means used were was never a concern. Testimony from support staff drove that point home. Fujisawa had won the mechanics to her side, which made the fact she was in cahoots with Miura crystal clear. But even if no witnesses had come forward, the upper brass should have already been aware of her culpability. The data link was tampered with, but there was no need for further analysis. It would have been obvious to headquarters something abnormal was going on just by reading the logs of the external observation monitor. Perhaps Instructor Jinguji knew. Back when she berated Fujisawa and Miura in front of us, maybe she knew the extent of their deceit. In any case, the truth of this accident changed everything. What the investigation brought to light would have led to the academy closing down under normal circumstances. And yet no one was punished for anything that went down. Even I, who assaulted a superior officer, suffered no retaliation. Several days after ordering all cadets to remain on standby, the Board of Inquiry announced its final verdict. Miura's death was determined to be the result of an unfortunate training accident. And just like that, our daily life full of pain returned, like nothing had ever happened. Wow, that's not quite accurate. For where my life was once a bad dream, now it would become a full-blown nightmare. Maybe it was in response to the accident, but the instructors had become harsher than ever. Wow. Can they get any harsher than that? And then 2 days later, I found out why Miura and Fujisawa had decided to bend the rules.
おい竹宮、お前、あいつらはお前らに恩を返し。
She couldn't get Karino's words out of her head. Even since the accident, Takemiya, who continued to wither away before my eyes, had tried to find out why Miura and Fujisawa decided to cheat. She found a clue in what Karino had said before, and after confronting him and getting his operation, she finally got hold of one particular mechanic who was involved in Miura's plot. Takemiya made him talk, and found out what Miura and Fujisawa had said. Her own beliefs, her hatred for Instructor Jinguji, her wish for atonement. What was behind her single-minded pursuit of the truth? I wonder if she even knew herself, because I most certainly don't. But I will never forget Takemiya's face, drained of all vigor, as she told me what had been on their minds. Our performance is bringing the whole squad down. Takemiya and his Isumi have a promising future ahead of them. We don't want to ruin it. We don't want to get in the way of their dreams. We want to repay their kindness. We want to give them a chance to beat Jinguji. That's how Miura and Fujisawa justified themselves. In other words, they broke the rules for our sake. I can reach no other conclusion. To pay us back, Miura racked her brains, and Fujisawa made use of her underground connection she once renounced.
なんで気づいてあげられなかったんだろう。
In one sense, that maintenance soldier's testimony saved us. In another, it was a cruel and unexpected blow. Takemiya had felt responsible for the accident's outcome since the beginning. After learning about their motivations, she kept on blaming herself more and more. Not a trace remained of the woman who was once loved by everyone. Takemiya's cheerful personality was long gone. 5 days later, she left the school. Fujisawa escaped death and left the hospital 6 months later. Considering the mental and physical trauma she had to go through, it came as no surprise she was in no condition to return to surface pilot training, and was granted a TOR. So Fujisawa, she dropped off. I haven't gotten in touch with either of them since. So that was the end of their squad, huh? Second lieutenant. So that must be Isumi. I'm guessing she's a superior to Marimo now.
神宮寺軍曹、貴様の教練に心から感謝する。
Oh.
は、妨害の言葉、身に余る光栄です。
Yes, ma'am, she said to Isumi now that she's a lieutenant.
私は、あなたを一生忘れない。
存じております、少尉殿。ですが、あなたはおやめください。私は、下士官です。